Alright, so hopefully at this point you've done your first meditation practice, you've had a go at the mindfulness of breathing. Now at this point you might be wondering, how does this fairly sort of abstract seeming activity actually help us in daily life? Are we supposed to go around everywhere counting our breaths when we're trying to deal with difficult people or whatever? Well, no, not really. The point of the practice is to give us some skills which we can then use to bring into the difficult situations in our lives. The essence of the mindfulness approach for dealing with difficulties can be summed up as awareness and acceptance. So there are a few key things that we need to understand as we go through. The first is that very often in any situation that's difficult for us in some way, there are actually two things going on at the same time. There's the situation itself, and there's our reaction to the situation. There's kind of what's going on in our minds as the situation is unfolding. So to use a simple example, let's say I stub my toe. Now that means my foot's going to hurt, because this is what happens when you have a toe and you crash it into something, right? So I stub my toe, my foot hurts. That's the situation. But it doesn't usually stop there, at least not for me. Maybe it's different for you, but for most people it doesn't stop there. There's the pain of the stubbed toe, and then there's some kind of thought that follows it. Something like, oh, I really wish I hadn't done that, or who left that thing there? I'm really going to tell them off. I've told them not to leave it there, or whatever it might be. Or I'm such a clumsy person, I'm always walking into things, etc., etc. So now we have two things going on. We've got the physical pain from the stubbed toe, and we've actually got probably some mental pain as well. Some kind of self-criticism, I'm so clumsy, some kind of anger or irritation, who left that thing there, some kind of just flat out wishing reality were different. I really wish I hadn't done that, my toe hurts, I wish it would just stop. The way it tends to work, it doesn't really matter how hard you wish that reality were different to how it is. It's kind of, reality tends to win that battle. So basically what we've done is we've taken an unpleasant physical situation and then we've layered on top of it an unpleasant mental situation as well. The way that we're reacting to what's going on is compounding the problem. It's adding unpleasantness on top of unpleasantness. So a big part of what we're doing with mindfulness is looking at our experience, trying to see as clearly as we can what's actually going on. If we can start to separate out the physical pain from the mental commentary that's being added on top, we start to notice that we don't actually need the mental commentary in a lot of cases. Potentially there's different commentary we could even substitute in, which might be a little bit more helpful. But the key thing really is just to kind of break the experience up, because when all we experience is stubbed toe is horrible, and the whole thing is all kind of tangled up together and it's all just one big thing. There's the pain, there's the thoughts, there's the emotions, there's all of it just wrapped up in one big ball. It's very difficult to do anything about. But if we can see them as separate bits, all being kind of layered on top of each other, it gets a lot easier to let go of the bits that aren't really doing us any good. There's not much we can do about the pain in the foot. That'll go away on its own after some time. But we can at least not berate ourselves mentally for having stubbed our toe, or try to find someone to criticise for having left the thing there, or whatever it might be. So, awareness on the one hand, seeing as clearly as we can what's actually going on. Acceptance on the other hand, which is about saying, alright, I've stubbed my toe. My foot hurts now. That's what happens, that is the situation. I can't wish the pain away. Yeah, maybe I can rub my foot and make it hurt a little bit less, but I can't through sheer force of will make it stop hurting. So on some level basically my choices are either to accept what's happened or to struggle against it and be in pain either way. Struggling against it will tend to bring all of that mental distress into the picture. Accepting it will tend not to. So when I talk about acceptance, I don't mean that we have to just become a doormat and let life roll over us. Stay in abusive relationships or in rubbish jobs or whatever. It's not that at all. It's not about saying that we can't make sensible choices for ourselves in the future. I'm not saying that we can't look at our situation and say, you know what, I hate my job, my boss is really nasty to me, I could get a different job over there, maybe that'd be better, and actually do something about it. What I mean is acceptance in the sense of not going into that process of, I really wish I hadn't stubbed my toe, because that's something we really can't do anything about. The only useful thing at that point is acceptance. So this is basically the mindfulness strategy, to try to bring awareness and acceptance to our experience. It sounds very simple. It's not necessarily easy in practice to do. We have a tendency to want to turn away from things that we don't want to look at. Anything unpleasant that we want to try to ignore, distract ourselves from, just put out of our mind, just make it go away, not think about it. And interestingly, in mindfulness we actually do the opposite. We start to train ourselves to turn towards what's going on. One of the key strategies for dealing with chronic pain, going right the way back to the 70s and John Kabat-Zinn again, was to actually encourage people to look at their pain, to get to know it, rather than treating it as an unwelcome enemy that just shouldn't be there and try to forget all about it. Actually turn towards it, look to see what's going on. How does it feel? How does it change from day to day? That kind of thing. And it turns out that if we can really turn fully towards things with an attitude of acceptance, that can really change our relationship to things, and a lot of the difficulty in our situations can kind of fall away as we do that.